let's watch this video. 2023, the death of the superhero.
On September 3rd, 2023,
By the way, I still haven't seen Blue Beetle. I do plan to, and I don't think it's a bad movie. It's not the reason that I didn't watch it. I didn't even know it was out, to be honest.
Blue Beetle finally managed to drag itself past 100 million at the global box office, and it really got me thinking, what's the most efficient way to dispose of a dead body these days? Wait, what? It really
Ew, I know. No, I'm not gonna say it, but it has something to do with Titanic, so I'm gonna just
It got me thinking that there's no more appropriate metaphor for the sad state of the superhero genre than this movie. A bland, generic, and creatively inert project sharted out by a studio that's out of ideas and energy, doing nothing that hasn't been done a million times before, and roundly ignored by completely apathetic audiences. And what's funny is that it's the kind of film that would have comfortably raked in $500 million if it had come out 5 years ago, when people still actually cared about stuff like this.
No. I don't think people stopped caring about superhero stuff. People will never be done with superheroes, fantasy and science fiction. That is not something that you just grow old, grow bored of. It's just the formula needs to change, you know?
That time, however, has long since passed, and I think in retrospect, people are going to look back on 2023 as the year the superhero genre officially died. I mean, let's be real here, it's been struggling for a long time now, and people like me have been...
It's not because of the genre itself, it's because of the formula that they have been using to retell stories about superheroes. It's not, you cannot just come to me and tell me that romance is dead because love movies are... There are so many love movies with like happy endings and sad endings, and it's always the same thing, people falling in love with each other and being together. But why is it still a thing? Why do people still like to watch love movies and romantic movies? It's because the formula changes, the storytelling changes, the characters change, they are different, they're unique, there is something about their story that is different than the others, the production is different, you know, everything about it is different. Except the actual, like, the love story. So superhero movies, in my opinion, the problem is that they are using the same formula that did show beforehand that it was a success, and they are too scared to try new things, and they don't want to put their money, investors don't want to put their money into something new and different. And that's the problem.
Warning that it was headed towards irrelevancy, but this is the first year when there's really no way of hiding it anymore. Don't believe me? Let's look at the numbers, shall we? Back in 2019, there were 8 cinematic superhero releases, making a grand total of $6.92 billion worldwide. By 2022, we had 7 major theatrical releases, only this time they only managed to bring in 4.
I mean, look at the movies that you are portraying. Doctor Strange 2, the actual movie was not good. Yeah, CGI was really good in it. People enjoyed watching that in cinema because of that, but the storytelling was not as good. Black Panther 2, people lived on Black Panther 1, the success of it. It was such a emotional movie. A lot of people wanted to see that and pay tributes to Black Panther, and that's why they watched it. The Batman movie was so good, in my opinion. It was so good and so different from the formula. I have no idea why it didn't get more success. The same with the Joker, by the way. The Batman and the Joker are 2 movies that are, in my opinion, hero movies, superhero or supervillains, whatever, that were different, unique, and something that you can keep rewatching because it has this artistic value and, as I said, like the difference between it. Oh, Thor Love and Thunder. I have no idea how Thor Love and Thunder is as good as the Batman. Look how much Black Adam dropped from Thor Love and Thunder, because we have Thor Love and Thunder at 4th place with $760 million. And then we have Black Adam with $389 million. That is a significant drop. And I wish he put here also the timing, like the months these came out. Like a lot of factors can play. But yeah, Black Adam did have a lot of... it was commercialized a lot, and people knew it's coming out. Like, you had the idea it is coming out, like marketing wise and everything. You knew that Black Adam is coming out, compared to Blue Beetles, who I had no idea it is out. So that's also like a pros and a con when it comes to the new movie, that Blue Beetle. DC League of Super Pets, I don't know, is that for kids? Like, I saw something like in a trailer. More Morbius. Hey, yo, don't hate on that movie. Crazy Duck went to cinema with me to watch Morbius. Lol, Morbius even making 167 million is a miracle. Honestly, bro, that was like the shittiest movie ever. But we had fun shitting on it, right, Crazy Duck?
Billion at the box office. That's a drop of more than 40%
Morbid
in just 3 years.
Don't
and
hate, don't hate.
2023 is shaping up to be by far the worst year yet. DC have already released 3 movies this year, all of which have flopped disastrously. In fact, none of them have even managed to break 300 million. When you add Black Adam into the mix, that makes 4 flops in a row for DC. And somehow, I don't think Aquaman 2 is going to turn things around for them.
Oh, Aquaman 2. I think they just have to put this out just to move on. Nobody
Neither
cares
is James
anymore.
Gunn, the latest entry in a revolving door of producers tasked with salvaging whatever's left of their destroyed brands. Not only does he seem to be burning through fan goodwill with a series of unpopular creative decisions and embarrassing revelations, but he's been
It's okay. They put a lot of trust on him. Let's see what he can do. There's still time.
put in charge of a studio that might actually run out of money before he can even do anything. Things aren't looking much better for Marvel either. Ant-Man 3 brought in less than 500 million worldwide, nowhere near enough to cover its massive production budget, never mind turn a profit. Secret Invasion, starring Samuel L. Jackson, should have been a big
haven't
hitter
seen
on
it yet.
Disney Plus, but instead turned out to be the lowest rated Marvel show ever made. I mean, at least Guardians 3 turned a profit with 845 million at the global box office, but I don't imagine that the Marvel execs were breaking out the champagne on this one. Not only did it make less than Guardians 2, even without adjusting for inflation or the massive hike in ticket prices, but it also represents a creative dead end for the studio that they can't exploit any further. In fact, the only unqualified success story has been Across the Spider-Verse, which brought in almost 700 million on a budget of just 100 million. That's great and all.
What does that tell you? We're gonna see more movies like this. More movies like Spider-Man, and I'm not gonna complain, because I really loved it.
Oh, but one successful movie isn't going to change the overall picture, and believe me, that picture's a depressing one. So far, superhero movies this year have earned 2.51 billion, a drop of 38% from the previous year and 65% from 2019. And out of
let's see. It's 2019, and then the next one you have 2022. Now, I would not look from 2019 to 2022 because of Corona. I would look through 2022 to 2023 and put the big question mark. How did it drop almost 2 billion? Like 1.5 billion.
From 2019.
In 1 year.
And out of the 6 major movies released so far, only 2 of them have actually turned a profit. But drinker, you ingenious imbiber of intellectual elucidation, I hear you say, surely it's unfair to pass judgment on 2023 when there's still a couple of big releases to come. Well, convenient setup for a perfectly timed piece of mockery. Not when those releases are Aquaman 2 and The Marvels. One is the final pointless movie in a dead cinematic universe, starring what may be the most unpopular actress in Hollywood.
Yeah, like who will watch that?
And the other is so hot.
This girl, the Snow White drama. I haven't made a movie about that yet. A video about it, and I want to talk about it too, but I'm just waiting for the actual movie to come out.
For now, at least. And the other is so hotly unanticipated that it's now been delayed and reworked 5 different times by Marvel. Even the director seems to recognise that the writing's on the wall when she made this amazingly frank admission to Total Film. I'll pitch Kevin's 17 versions of what can happen with all these women, and why, and how, and this, and that, and he's like, okay girl, and sometimes I think I've really got a movie going after this, and then other times I'm like, oh, they have this whole other plan that I'm not a part of. In terms of women-led films and women as superheroes in particular, and excitement around that, I think it's really just about whether or not the movie's good. Especially now we have more and more films that are female-led, that are action-based or superhero-based. Jesus, calm down, Wordsworth, you're really dazzling us with your articulation here. This right here is what happens when reality comes at you so hard and fast that there's just no way to spin it into anything else. She knows that this movie is going to be a fucking stinker that'll bomb harder than the Manhattan Project and is preemptively trying to manage expectations and deflect blame. She knows that this film can't just slide its way into a freshly lubed up marketplace like its predecessor did, where anything with the Marvel logo slapped on it was basically a giant money printing machine. The fact is, superhero movies are having to fight harder and harder to garner the kind of attention that would have been guaranteed a few years ago. There's an almost tangible feeling of weariness and resignation when a new movie gets announced now, like an aging man trying to rouse himself for another long shift at the same tedious job he's been working for decades. What used to be an exciting event to be savoured has become a kind of dull chore, something to be gotten through out of obligation rather than genuine desire.
To be honest, I kind of agree with him when it comes to this, because a lot of these movies that I went to watch, I got like, let's say phase 3 finished, phase 4 appeared, and we were all like, okay, now it's brewing, it's a new thing. We are now going back 10 years into introduction of new characters until there is like the next Avenger team. So we have to go through this phase of meeting these new characters, new superheroes, new villains that we like, in order to have this big, group of Avengers fighting a bigger enemy. And it did feel like work. A lot of these movies, when I finished, I was like, okay, the movie wasn't that good. It wasn't that entertaining. But in a way, I had to watch it to know what's going to happen next, because the next is what's important. Phase 5 is important. Phase 6 is going to be important. And I want to keep up, keeping up with Marvel. But at this point, I'm like, does it even matter anymore? Like, Avengers happened. It's all happened. It's Endgame, bro. And I don't think it's going to happen again. Like, they have to make up a miracle for it to be as good as it was.
Or interests. And it's funny because everyone seems to have their own pet theory for why this happens. Depending on who you talk to, the problem lies in the oversaturation of the market with far too many projects, or the declining creative quality of the movies and TV shows being put out, or the increasing focus on identity politics and activism at the expense of good storytelling.
All of that. Every single thing he mentioned. Oversaturation, political wokeness into these movies, and too many characters.
Or the arrogance and hostility of the movie studios as things start to go wrong. Or the bland and formulaic nature of the films themselves. Or even the dreaded superhero fatigue. For me though, I think the truth is a complex combination of all these different factors. I mean, let's start with the last one first. Superhero fatigue. Or, more generally, genre fatigue. As far as I'm concerned, it's very much a real thing, and in the words of King Willie from Predator 2,
"There's no stopping what can't be stopped."
just like every other fad and fashion that's come and gone over the years, movie genres eventually become stale and played out as times change and people move on to new things. It happened to the adventure epics of the 1950s, the gritty crime dramas
or
of
the
70s,
Western movies,
the gung-ho action movies of the 80s, and the comedies of the 90s. Why would you assume it wouldn't happen to the superhero movies that have been with us ever since the
That is in a way true, but comedy as a genre is still there. So I think fantasy and superfiction is going to still be there. Maybe it's not going to be in Marvel or DC. Maybe something new is going to come out and be better and different, but as a genre itself, I don't think it's going anywhere.
2000s. Shit man, in genre terms, they've had a pretty fucking good run. And in reality, it probably would have lasted a few more years if it hadn't been for the over-reliance on tired formulas and exhausting CGI spectacle.
Exactly.
The oversaturation of the market with endless movies, TV shows, spin-offs and sequels that became almost impossible to keep up with.
True.
The hiring of untalented or underqualified writers and directors who are more concerned with pushing their own political worldviews than making good movies, and the increasingly aggressive attempts to attack and gaslight fans who dared to criticize their products and point out their mistakes. The truth is, they got too big, too lazy, too arrogant, too complacent, and it all contributed to an atmosphere of antagonism, frustration, and in the end, apathy. Audiences just don't care for superhero movies anymore. They don't care for the bland and boring characters and storylines being trotted out. They don't care for the tired formulas and played out spectacle, and they especially don't care for the studios making them. I mean, I don't imagine they'll ever vanish altogether. We'll still get the occasional Batman, Superman, or Spider-Man movie because those characters are so timeless and popular that they'll always find an audience of some sort.
Man, this is literally the type of characters that I want them to move away away from and start introducing new ones. Exactly because we have seen the same story over and over and over and over again, the same characters doing the same thing. Like, I literally want new characters to be introduced, and I want them to have the attention that Spider-Man has, for example. But they will never do that. They will bring a movie like Blue Beetles introducing a new character, and they will hope for the best. But if you don't even put the attention into it, the investors into it, the belief, the work into it, you just add it and just question, maybe people are gonna like it, and if they do, we're gonna give more attention to it. Like, that's not how it works. You have to be the one who believes in that character first and foremost. Oh my god, I literally paused at the worst part ever. This guy like listening to me. But yeah, I just want to say that I want new things. And also, maybe the movies as a genre, it doesn't work. Listen to me. Maybe this fantasy, like going from comics into actual movies, is now done. How about if they look at the newest animations from Superman, from Spider-Man, and they take that animation and turn comics into actual movies with high budget animations, and they work with that? Because I always think about anime, and I always think how saturated anime is, but it's still very popular, even though some stories are a retell of other stories. Like, it's literally the same thing almost always. But in anime, it's always working, and it's keep coming, and it's keep getting more and more successful. Even now, foreigners are enjoying anime, not only Japanese, and mangas and animes. So why not go into that route, and make more animations that are worthy of watching? And I'm not shitting on DC animations or Marvel animations. I haven't watched any, to be honest with you, but I did watch Spider-Man because it was in cinema and it was hyped and the animations looked amazing. So I would definitely go and watch Batman movie like that. I would definitely go watch a Superman movie like that. I feel like maybe they should try that more, because if you see an explosion in a movie, the fire is almost always the same. If you see an explosion in an animation, they can do so many things with it, and it doesn't require CGI. It just requires art.
Time of the superhero movie as the dominant box office genre is over, and to be honest, I'm fine with that. It's about time Hollywood got shaken out of its money-soaked complacency and forced to come up with new creative ideas. It's about time we had more to look forward to in our summer movie seasons than an endless parade of capes and spandex and ironic self-aware jokes. It's about time we demanded something better in our entertainment. Now, just before I piss off, I wanted to bring one little thing to your attention. Many of you who tune into my open bar streams will be aware of the Critical Doggo, my somewhat faithful companion in the world of media criticism. Well, actually there's two of them, but legend has it they've never been seen at the same time and place. Anyway, whatever. The point is that the doggos are retired racing greyhounds that I adopted from a rehoming centre not too far from where I live, and I have to admit, they made for excellent pets. The problem is, these places often operate on razor-thin margins, depending mostly on donations and volunteers just to stay running, and I felt like maybe I could do something to help out just a little.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
With that in mind, I'm launching the Critical Doggo plushie, a one-of-a-kind companion for the critical drinker, complete with sunglasses and his own little bottle of whiskey while he chills out on the floor. Probably explains why my doggos are always unconscious. Anyway, I'm going to be donating all of the profits of this campaign to my local Greyhound Rescue Centre, so if you'd like to bag yourself one, then the link is in the description. Or if you're not into the whole plushie thing, but you're interested in helping out a bit anyway, I'll also leave a link to the shelter's donation page. I don't want anyone to feel obligated to help out with this one, so don't feel like you have to pitch in or anything, but I'm hoping that perhaps we can do a little good and maybe help some animals who deserve a second chance at a happy life. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Go away now. That's it. That was fun. Thank you so much for sharing. If you're watching this on YouTube, let me know in the comment down below what you think about this whole topic of the death of superheroes. Do you agree with what I said? Disagree? Let's have a chit chat.